So once again, welcome to another QFloors webinar. This webinar today, August 1st, 2013, is about the QFloors checkbook screen. The checkbook screen has these tabs at the top: register, checks, and deposits. Then you also have checks and deposits over here on the right side. On the left is your register, and you can narrow it down to just the checks or just the deposits or the entire register for the search parameters that you've given it down at the bottom. And then this up here at the top is to create a check or create a deposit or do your reconciliation. And you do reconciliations every month, right, everyone? Everyone say yes. You hopefully are doing your checkbook reconciliations monthly, and it can be time consuming, we know, and it's kind of a pain sometimes, we know, but such an important part of your monthly business operations is to reconcile your checkbook. You can have multiple bank accounts in QFloors. We've got account here, another account. You can also manage a credit card account in this screen. That would be like an overdrawn checkbook account, right? But you can do that. You can manage the account in the checkbook screen. The reasons you would do that are if you are carrying a balance on the card from month to month. I guess even on a more basic level, if you want to reconcile the credit card account statement monthly, like you do a checkbook statement. So that's the most basic reason. But if you're carrying a balance over from month to month, then it's just easier in our software to manage that account in this checkbook screen. The other method of managing a credit card account is just creating a bill that represents the statement and then moving on and and paying it. So anyway, that gets to be a little bit difficult if you're carrying a balance over. And then the third reason, and really maybe the main reason, is if you are paying flooring vendors on a regular basis with the credit card, then it's much easier to do that and manage that if you are managing the credit card account here in the checkbook screen. I'm not going to focus today on managing a credit card account here. Just want to point that out, that you can manage it in this screen. We're going to mainly focus on normal checking account functions. I guess on a side note, you can also manage a line of credit account in here. I've seen some people manage their petty cash in this area as well. So checking accounts, savings accounts, things like that. That's what we'll mainly focus on in our discussion today. The way to set up an account, of course, set up chart of accounts, and you would click the new button, give it a name and a category. The category would be bank or credit cards. And either one of those will show up as one of your available accounts. If you select an account and uncheck the show account option, then it won't show up as an available account to use down here. So that could be for an account that you have discontinued, or maybe you have a bookkeeping person, a clerk in your office that's helping you with your checkbook functions, and you don't want them to see a particular account all the time, but you want to manage it yourself. Then you could unshow it, as long as they don't have access to this area, of course, to show it again and get into it. Okay, checkbook transactions. This really is one of the easiest parts of the software. When you create a bill in the bill's credit screen and you save the bill, it automatically opens this payments window here where you can schedule when and how you're going to pay the bill. And so it sets up this payment item. This is what shows up in the checkbook, not the bill itself. this payment item shows up in the checkbook to be paid. As we mentioned in our webinar about the bills credit screen, you can change the bill. We could change this bill to be $1 million and have a payment item in here for the $399. The software will allow that because it allows you to schedule multiple payments in here. Maybe we've got a bill for $3,000 and we're going to pay a third of it every month until it's paid off. So you can schedule multiple payments. So you have 3 lines in here with different due dates, and each one of those will show separately in the checkbook screen down in here, these projected payments. This is projected when we're going to pay the bill that you scheduled in the bill screen. This window is sortable. You can click the column headings to sort it. You can select a particular vendor. Employees and installers from the employee subscreen are not listed in this list, unfortunately, but all of your vendors from your vendor accounts setup are in this list to see just the bills for a particular vendor. So you select it, press enter, and then you would see those bills. You can change the date range here. By default, when you open QFloors, it's showing you 7 days from today the bills that are due. And so if we change that to some other date, then you can see these payments that are scheduled out past the upcoming 7 days. The deposits, I'll jump over here just briefly. Same type of thing. There's not a date selection, but you can see the payments from customers that you've posted on your invoices. When you post a payment here, post a payment, then that will show up in the checkbook screen in here as an item to deposit in the bank. And you can narrow this list down by location. Okay, paying bills. Very straightforward. You can select an item to pay. If you check off more than one payment item for the same vendor, then you get a check for the total of the two. And you check off another bill and another bill. So you're getting these checks, new checks, starting with this check number. You'll see here check number 1031, 32, 33. I think we had a credit in here we could use, a few of them. There we go. So if we pay some Mohawk bills, we get this check. And then when we select this credit, it gives us our net check. Another thing I want to point out in here, I don't see any that, because I'm working with older data and I didn't update it before the webinar, I apologize, but in the parentheses next to the vendor name is the discount percentage rate that you're getting if you were to pay that bill right now. There's one. We're getting a 2% discount by paying that particular bill right now. If you miss the discount, then you'll see an asterisk. You'll see 2 asterisks in front of the vendor name and the new discount rate. So maybe you had terms of 5% in 20 days, 3% in 30 days, net 40. If you miss that 5% discount due date, then the date here will change to the date for the 3% terms, and it'll show the 3% here. Now it only shows the asterisk the first time you come in here. If you refresh this or close QFloors and reopen it, then the asterisks go away. Just a notification you missed it today. So you check off the bills that you want to pay. That gives you a list in here of the checks that you are going to print, change your check number. If this is the wrong check number, then you change it here. Press enter on your keyboard. You have to press the enter key on that. And then you click save. That's if you're just going to print them. There are checks marked to be printed. Would you like to print while saving? So it is going to save them. Would you like to print them while it saves? Yes, we'll print the checks. No, we'll save them, but not print them. And cancel will take us back to here. So if you save and you have your checks in the printer and they're the right direction, they're upside down, they're reversed, they're face up, whatever you know, you've got to feed your checks into your printer in the right sequence. You click yes and they print. If you hand wrote the checks for some reason, you can click no. Or maybe they were some automatic withdrawals or something we'll look at it later, but you can click no until it don't print them. So that's the basic, most straightforward method of creating a check in here. Now, what if we wanted to change the date on one of these checks? Post-dated, dated yesterday, something like that. You click on the item, and then it shows you the details of that one check. And then up in here, you can change the date. And make sure you press the enter key. Would you like to change the date on all of these pending checks in this middle box here? Yes or no? I'll click no. So we see this one is dated the 31st and the rest are dated today. By changing the date on a check, QFloors will not allow you to take a discount that you missed. So changing the check date does not give you that discount back. You would have to go and edit the bill and modify the terms on the bill to stretch out the number of days that it will allow you to take the discount, and then come and print your check. QFloors will not allow you to go and edit this payment item here. If we were to double click this line, I'm going to uncheck it, double click bill number 76. It won't allow you to edit this payment if it's still checked, if it's still marked to be paid in the checkbook. So if we come back and check that, so we come in here and if we want to, oh, this is our credit. We just change something like that. This payment's already been checked off in the checkbook window. You have to uncheck it over there in the checkbook screen first. Okay. So the very simple method, create your bills. Remember, you enter your bills as they come in the mail daily. They'll show up in here. You can change your date, click refresh, things like that to get the list showing the bills that you want to see. Narrow it down by vendor, check the boxes, and basically if you're just going to print out checks, you click the save button. If you need to change a date, you click on the item, change the date. And then click save and click yes, and they'll print out. Click no, and it'll put them in the register. I'm going to click no because I don't have a printer attached here. It'll put them in the register, but not attempt to print them. So let's say that this printed and this one jammed in the printer, and so we can stick it back in the printer and just click print and print it out on a new check number. And right here you can change the check number. The next one's 1038, 1038. Press enter and save that to change the check number, and then you'll want to change this manually to the next check number. Make sure you press enter after changing that number every time. Let's say that we created a bill for our internet service payment or some insurance payment that perhaps is automatic deduction from your checking account. So when you click the item to pay it and you click here, we want this to be a non-check item. We're not using a check. Still a checking account transaction, just not using a check. And you'll see the check number that it will get when we save it will be zeros. It still shows the 1039 here. That's okay. This is what really is going to happen. If you click this again, it will refresh the details up at the top. And there you're seeing your zeros again. You don't have to refresh it. If all you really need to do is click the middle box, click here, and save it. Change your date again if you need to. If you need to backdate that and say, well, that actually came out of the account back on the 15th, and then when you save that, it'll just put it in the register with that date and with the zero check number. Perhaps you want something different showing as the check number. Maybe you want to see something like this, some reference number, some transaction number. So that would be just changing this up here to what's the debit, or make sure you press enter so that you see it down in the window here, and then save. And there's your quote-unquote check number, your transaction number for that one. And you can always change that as well. If you click on that, and you can change this, press enter, and save it to change it again. You can print this list down here. Click the print button. The X charge button here is for doing things with a credit card processing company called X charge. I'm not going to go into that at all right now. Another feature in the checkbook screen is what we call a quick check. Somebody's here in the office, you need to get a check to them right away. You could go create a bill in the bills credit screen, come over here and select it and pay it. It's pretty quick and simple to do that. But you can also do a quick check by coming right to the checkbook screen, click the new button, and then fill in the blanks. It can be a non-check item, or it can use the check number, whatever you need for that transaction. You can change your date right there. The pizza guys right here brought lunch in for everybody. This box here would be for an invoice number. QFloors is going to create a bill for you in the background. If there's an invoice number, type that in. Comments, if you want some comments printed on the check, type them in here. Press enter, and then this box is now showing the list of chart of accounts. Just like creating a bill, you have to select an account. QFloors is going to create a bill in the background. It needs to know what account to use. I'm going to select, no, we're just going to save it. Click Save. Check's marked to be printed. I'll click no again since I don't have a printer. You would, of course, click yes. And there it prints out your check. And in the background, there's your bill. Just as if you had clicked new and filled in the blanks, account, and it shows you this came from Quick Check. That can be deleted. Not that you would, but just pointing out, it'll say Quick Check unless you come and change it. You can do that for a vendor bill. Remember, when you create a bill to pay for flooring or cabinets or some item that you've purchased for resale, remember you're using the inventory account. You can use the inventory account over here on a Quick Check, but you're not able to select the product like you would normally do on the bill. So if you do that, make sure you go back to the bill and select the product after it's created that bill from the Quick Check. Make sure you come and do that step. If you have multiple lines of inventory, then you would just change your bill that got created from the Quick Check, change it by changing the selecting the product, and that'll change the quantity and amount, and then you would just manually go through and fill out the rest of the bill for more inventory lines, some freight, or whatever else might be necessary, just to change that bill so that it is what it needs to be. Maybe you just needed to get a check printed right away for COD or something like that, posted to the inventory account. One thing you're not able to do is create your bills. Let's see, let me, what's the scenario? We've had some customers that will need to print and send a check, and then just for materials received, and then receive the vendor's invoices later, and want to link that check back to the bills, go and enter the bills and link the check to those bills. It's not possible to do that. You would have to void that quick check that you created and void the bill that it created, and then enter the bills that came in the mail and create another check using the same check number and date as what was used originally. Okay, so that's the checks part of the checkbook screen. Deposits, very simple part of the software here. Again, as you enter customer payments on invoices, they show up in here to be paid. I'm sorry, to be deposited. You'll click the new button, and you'll select the items that you're depositing. I'll usually click the type heading to sort things alphabetically by payment type: check, credit card, cash. Other means that is coming from a bill. Why would we have a bill in items to deposit? Because that would be, I'm going to double click that. So we have a check in our hands. In this case, that would be a credit in the bill's credit screen. We have a check in our hands that came from a non-customer source, from a vendor, some other source. So you create your bill, fill in the blanks with the accounts and amounts, negative amounts to make it a credit, and when you save the bill, you're selecting add that to the deposits part of the checkbook, so that you have a positive item here. Now you can do the same thing to pay a bill out of deposits. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Right now we have this check here, and we have this check, and maybe we're holding on to that check for some reason. So you check off the items that you're taking to the bank right now. You come down, I don't see any cash items in there right now, but you would see cash as a payment type. And if you're taking that to the bank with your checks and you check them off, oops, I selected a credit card item, didn't mean to do that. And so you select the items you're taking to the bank. You can change the date. If you're taking that in the morning, you can put there tomorrow's date or put yesterday's date. But ideally, and we strongly recommend this, do this before you go to the bank, so that you can verify that I've got the software telling me I've got $4,600 deposit, and I can add up the checks on the calculator on my desk and make sure that everything is accounted for. All the checks and cash add up to what I'm actually taking to the bank. And then you'll save it. I didn't press enter on my date. I'm just going to leave it today. Would you like to print a deposit ticket? You can handwrite your deposit tickets and click no. But if you have ordered the deposit tickets for printing a deposit ticket, then you'll click yes, make sure that's in the printer. And there's your deposit. You can click on it again, modify the date. You're not able to take one of these items out, but you are able to add other items in. So here we have this deposit selected. Click on an item in the list and it'll ask if you want to modify this deposit. Yes, we do. And save it. And then I would say, yes, let's print another deposit ticket and get rid of the other one. Okay, credit card payments. You'll want to look at your bank statement. Maybe talk with your credit card processing vendor, your processing company, and you need to know how are the credit card deposits going to be grouped on your checkbook. I kind of fumbled that. Basically what I'm saying is many credit card processing companies are going to deposit the Visa and MasterCard payments together as one deposit that you'll see on your bank statement, and somewhere else on your bank statement later in the list you'll see the American Express deposits, and the Discover card deposits will be a separate deposit again. So you'd have 3 separate deposits perhaps on the same day for the different types of credit cards that you process payments through. Other credit card processors will deposit all of them together. So you need to create your deposits in QFloors the way that you're going to see them on your bank statement. If you're going to see them separately, Visa, MasterCards as one deposit, American Express as another, Discover as another, then you check off your Visas and Visas and MasterCards together. And save that. And your American Express would be a separate deposit altogether, and you save that. Okay. That's really helpful when it comes to reconciling your checkbook, to see those broken down. Now, what if, like with American Express payments, you'll often see that the deposit on your bank statement is a little less than the total that the customer paid, because American Express will often take out their fee before depositing the money. A couple of ways of handling that. A simple way is to look at your credit card statement and maybe add up the fees that they charged, that they subtracted out of all the deposits together, and then create a bill, and that'll give you an item to pay. Or you can do it as a quick check posted to credit card fees or credit card vendor processing, whatever you have as your account, posted to that as a lump sum amount. It does make it hard to reconcile though, because as you're looking at deposits on your bank statement that came in the mail, and you'll see deposit amounts that are slightly different from what you have in QFloors. But things will balance out. Everything should equal out. If you want to see this credit card deposit in your checking account with the actual net amount minus the fee, then you have to create a bill. And whatever the date was. Guess I don't have that account. We're going to add that account. Let's put that there. So we are paying a bill. It's a positive amount. It's not a credit where money's coming to us. We're paying that bill, but we're paying it out of deposits. So we'll click Save, select our Add to Deposits option, click Save, and when we refresh over here, we see this other item that came from a bill, and we have our deposit selected here. Deposit number 60 is selected. So when we click this, modify a previously saved deposit, yes. So now we have our net deposit. Okay. That's it on the deposits side of things. Reconciling your checkbook. When you receive your statement in the mail, or if you receive it electronically in your email or download it from the bank's website, what is your statement date? And you'll notice that some things dropped out of there. If I change this back to August 1st, it'll add some deposits and things back in here. So it's only going to show you the items that actually that have transaction dates in that period, so you can't accidentally check off something that really could not have cleared on that statement based on the dates. If I have something checked and I change the date, it'll warn me there's transactions that are dated after the statement date just entered. You either need to change the statement date or uncheck those items. And then your beginning statement balance, what's this balance on the statement for your starting date, and the ending balance. Now, I haven't put any numbers together to make this balance out correctly, so I'm just going to put some amount here. And you start checking off items that cleared on the statement. Of course, making sure that the amount is the same as what's on the statement. Unless like those credit card items where you're going to do a lump sum bill and payment or something to account for the fees that came out deposit by deposit. You can hold the shift key down and click at the other end of a group, either going from bottom to top, top to bottom, and then click check or uncheck those highlighted items to check them off in a group. So you're checking things off, and of course skip the items that did not clear on the statement. And when you're done, you should have a zero difference over here. Again, I didn't put together a reconciliation so all the numbers would match up. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to force it to be a zero difference. Delete the beginning balance, press enter, whatever the difference is here mathematically. That will force this to be zero. The difference here simply means between going from this starting balance plus the deposits that cleared minus the checks that cleared equals the ending balance. That's all that means. It doesn't necessarily mean that your checking account is in balance with your bank. I'll talk about that next. It's just based on the things that I've checked off, the beginning and ending balance match up with regards to the statement. If you don't have a zero difference, you can save the reconciliation. If it's not a very substantial amount, you're okay with it, when you click save, QFloors will ask if you want it to insert a balancing transaction. So we can click yes, and it'll put in a 3-cent adjustment to your account posted to the cash over and short expense account. But it should come out to a zero all by itself. Those small amounts, of course, you can just let it adjust those out. Or you can go find the transaction that's wrong and fix it. Of course, the larger the amount, the more significant the amount, then yes, you want to go find that and fix it. We have questions a lot of why is it not zero? Why I've checked everything, I've got things checked off. Why do I not come out to a zero difference? It's because either your beginning or ending balance was typed in incorrectly, or you have something checked that should not be, or you have something checked that has an amount that's wrong, or you have something not checked that should be. Usually it's one of those things, and you've got to uncheck everything and start over and be a little more meticulous as you go through. It's a pain, I know, when you've got a difference and weren't expecting that. And then you'll save it when you're all done. Would you like to print a reconcile report? See how that button says the word absolutely yes right there? Okay, it doesn't really say that, does it? But yes, absolutely yes. Right now, QFloors does not have a way for you to go back in time and reprint this reconciliation report. So yes, you want to print it and save it. In fact, I strongly recommend click yes, and rather than printing it to paper, save it in some other format, an electronic format. So there's this software out on the internet you can go download, cutepdf.com. There's tons of other freebies that will, when you select it, when you install it, it's in your list of printers as a printer, but it's not going to print to paper. It's going to have you, when this comes up here, it's going to have you save it, save as, and then you can name it, checkbook for, maybe you can name it the account, be of a rename it, change the location, put it where you want, save it to some other format. Didn't I put it in here? Not sure where I just saved it to. Oh, there it is. I just wasn't seeing it. I'm sure all of you are pointing on screen. Ron, it's right there. Wake up. So now you can go back to it at any time and print it to paper if you need to, which you might need to do. Maybe you need a hard copy saved and filed away. That's actually a good idea. Maybe your accountant wants one. But right now, QFloors does not have the ability to go back and reprint that reconciliation report. So save it in another format, then print it to paper. I guess just for security purposes, this comes to mind. Maybe you don't want these out on your server where anybody in your company could find it. So put them on some other backup location, some location on your server or some computer that not everyone has access to, and make sure they get backed up. Talk to your company that does your backups. After you've printed that reconciliation report, I should have left it open. Well, what do we have going here? The last dollar amount on the last page of the printed reconciliation report is another difference. This is the one that's telling you if your register, if your QFloors checkbook register is in balance with the bank. That should be 0, and if it's not, it would be very difficult to go and find where you got off. You might have to go back and re-reconcile months and months and months of statements to try and find that. Unless it's some amount that you recognize, of course, and we've had people call, and that's been the case. Oh, I know that amount. They go right to it, they fix it, and everything's good the next time. But to go back and find that is typically next to impossible, or at least it's going to cost you a lot of time. Just do an adjustment to your checkbook account. So why would I tell you that? Why not go find it? Well, again, you can. It's just going to take you time of re-reconciling. And remember, you can't undo a reconciliation. You just kind of have to do it on paper. Maybe print your register report and kind of reconcile by paper. How did it get off? There's some transaction that's got deleted or changed. An amount. Maybe you've created a journal entry. There could be some item in one of these two lists that really shouldn't be there, that will never show up on a future reconciliation. We need to help you get those out. That could cause us to be off. So 1633.67, the reconciled balance, this is the correct one. is less than what the register shows, so I need to decrease. I really should show a negative number there. We need to decrease the bank account by $1633.67. So we do a journal entry. So I'm decreasing I think that was the right amount. I'm going to copy that so I don't have to type it again because I'm lazy. Add line. This is the Bank of America. So it's a negative entry to credit that account, to decrease it. So post it to cash over and short. If we needed to increase the bank account, we would have done a positive number here and a negative number here. It doesn't really matter which account you do first. I'll usually do my debits first. But anyway, just so you have the right amount, positive or negative. And then save. If we refresh our register by clicking it here, you'll see the total is going to change. If you want to test your reconciliation, if you want to see if you're in balance between reconciliations, you can do this. Here's the ending balance from the last reconciliation we did. We just saved a reconciliation where I had put in $21,000 as the ending balance. So that's up there as the beginning balance. That's good. So if we check everything off, I'm going to click here, scroll down, hold the Shift key while I click the last one. Check those highlighted items, click it again, check them. 21,000 plus these minus these. The cleared balance, the middle number here, the cleared balance should equal your register balance. So that's how you can test at any time if your checking account is in balance with your most recent statement. Overall, items that have not cleared yet, added to that ending balance from the bank, yeah, I'm still in balance with the bank, between me and the bank. Does that make sense? And then go back and uncheck them off. Now, if you're in the habit of reconciling partially day by day, week by week, going to the bank's website and checking off a bunch of things, it makes it hard to do this process that I just did because you have a bunch of items checked off. You would have to redo that work because you've got to get everything checked off in order to do this. Okay. There is a way that you can do some reconciliations with an import of a spreadsheet type of file. I'm not going to go into that. We have a document on our website that and I think that's in version 6.1 actually. Sorry, I'm still in 6.0 because we've not released 6.1 to everyone. But if you download some data from your bank's website and you're able to keep that in a CSV format, put some columns in the right place, maybe move things around, you can kind of import that to compare to what you have in your system. Just putting that out there is informational. There should be an application note on our website about it. If not, I'll have to get one there. It's not very commonly used, and for some people it can be more difficult than what it might be worth to them because you have to be able to manipulate spreadsheets fairly well. Any questions or comments? We haven't had any so far during the webinar today. I probably just bored everyone to sleep. That's probably what happened. Okay. We do appreciate your participation in these, all of your contributions to QFloors making it the software that it is. Of course, email support@qfloors.com or call us if you have questions or input that you want to give. And have a great afternoon.